Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever looked at the messy, chaotic state of modern politics and thought to yourself, what does a perfectly designed democratic political party actually look like? Like, if we could just strip away all the noise, the oversized personalities, the endless debating, and just build a political organization totally from the ground up, what would that architectural blueprint actually look like?
Well, today's source material acts exactly as that. It's a master architectural blueprint. It's uniquely designed to replace all that modern political chaos with strict rule-bound organization. It treats a political party not as, a loose club of charismatic individuals, but as a carefully engineered machine where every single gear has a defined, public, and absolutely enforceable purpose.
Okay, let's dive into the structural tour. We're going to cover 5 areas today. 1. Blueprint for party democracy. 2. Standards for party candidates. 3. The shadow government model. 4. Data, accountability, and safeguards. And finally, 5. The island implementation roadmap.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Blueprint for Party Democracy, laying the foundation.
Just like a towering skyscraper needs an unbreakable foundation before you can even think about building upward, this party starts with a concept called subsidiarity. Now, this is a very unique geographic feature of this specific text, which is designed heavily around island and atoll contexts. Basically, subsidiarity ensures that local, remote units have constitutionally defined powers and direct representation in the central party organs. It's built this way for a very specific reason, to ensure that the political elite sitting comfortably in the capital city don't entirely dominate the lived, everyday realities of the people out on the distant islands.
So how does this actually translate into the internal architecture of the party? Well, the blueprint enforces a strict internal separation of powers. You've got the Congress or National Convention, a National Council, an Executive Secretariat, and, this is critical, an independent Ethics and Oversight Commission working right alongside a disciplinary board. The real genius here is that the party's basic organs completely separate policymaking from daily operations and then separate both of those from discipline and ethics. Because let's be honest, you simply can't be the one making the rules and enforcing them at the same time.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between what we're used to and what this source demands. Traditional politics, it often relies on uncontested coronations, backroom deals, and narrow little cliques just hoarding power. But the blueprint? No way. It strictly requires competitive, multi-candidate elections, hard term limits, secret ballots, and rotation rules to prevent any single family or island from monopolizing the party's leadership.
Moving right along to Section 2, Standards for Party Candidates, installing the doors.
Now that the foundation and walls of our building are up, we really have to ask a very important question. Who actually gets to walk through the doors of this party and represent it in a public election? The source details a highly rigid party candidate standards framework. Before anyone gets a party ticket, they have to meet strict eligibility criteria. We're talking total legal compliance, a rock-solid public stance against corruption, basic governance and legal literacy, full asset and interest declarations, and a demonstrated record of community service. In short, candidates must definitively prove their ethics and their community grounding before they can even think about representing the party.
So how do they actually prove it? Let's walk step by step through the screening process, because every single political aspirant has to survive this gauntlet. Step 1. An independent pre-screening committee reviews the application. Step 2. They undergo rigorous legal, financial, and reputational background checks. And Step 3, which is honestly a massive hurdle, a public constituency town hall. Yep, you have to face the voters in public and answer their questions before a final nomination is ever handed out.
Also, notice how the blueprint handles diversity. It doesn't just hope for inclusion, it hardwires it right into the candidate lists using quotas. By mandating gender quotas, youth quotas, and geographic balance, the architecture structurally guarantees that outer islands, women, and young people are never sidelined in the democratic process. It's built right in.
Next up is Section 3, the shadow government model, the engine room.
If the candidate standards are the doors, this is the engine room of our blueprint. This is where the daily, grueling work of political opposition actually happens. Consider a traditional minister of health who runs the actual hospitals. In this blueprint, the party's shadow minister of health isn't just a talking head on TV. They are equipped with their own dedicated policy units, monitoring cells, and constituency liaisons. Every single party official directly mirrors a real government minister so they can track service delivery and draft actual alternative bills. It's literally a parallel government in waiting.
And what does this engine room actually produce? Well, the output is intense.
The shadow cabinet is mandated to maintain public manifesto trackers, issue shadow reports on budget execution, and instantly publish rapid assessment notes during major crises. Their critiques of the government must be grounded in hard data, actual audits, and verifiable service delivery metrics, not just empty, dramatic political rhetoric.
Let's move to Section 4, Data, Accountability, and Safeguards, the security system.
Of course, a party that is this structurally powerful internally requires a highly sophisticated internal security system to prevent it from becoming authoritarian itself. Which begs a vital question for us. How does a party actually track government failures objectively without just relying on social media rumors or biased news?
Well, the source outlines a really practical, data-driven machinery for exactly this. Let's trace the fascinating journey of a single community issue, say a massive infrastructure failure like coastal flooding. Step 1 is multi-channel intake. A citizen on a low-bandwidth outer island sends a simple SMS text to a local party office. Step 2, that text gets processed into a centralized digital platform. Step 3, local island coordinators physically verify the facts on the ground and then route it directly to a shadow minister's compliance dashboard. It's a completely closed-loop, citizen-driven accountability system. So the crucial point is how this data system is protected and how the party protects itself from bad actors. These anti-capture safeguards are absolutely essential. We're looking at an independent ethics commission with fixed terms, strict conflict of interest policies, required cooling-off periods for senior public officials, and hard limits on donations from state contractors. These specific enforceable rules form the firewall protecting the party from internal factionalism and external corporate capture.
Finally, Section 5, the Island Implementation Roadmap, the construction schedule.
Now, all of these theories are great, but how do you actually build this Maldivian-style island model in reality? Well, the text provides a clear 5-phase schedule to construct this system. Phase 1 is foundational, drafting and adopting the core constitution and rules. Phase 2 focuses on internal democracy, training local units and holding transparent internal elections under those new rules. Phase 3 stands up the shadow government and their data tools. Phase 4 is public accountability, hosting actual public forums and publishing those service dashboards. And Phase 5 is continuous improvement, holding a review Congress every 2 to 3 years to evaluate and refine the entire system.
To sum up the entire philosophy of this source document, we really have to look at this core principle. Quote, all major processes must be written, public, and enforceable. End quote. This completely reinforces the core thesis of today's explainer. True functioning democracy doesn't rely on the personal goodwill of politicians. It relies on structural transparency and unbreakable rules.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. Considering the structures, the safeguards, and the sheer level of accountability built into this design, could this blueprint fix the political parties in your own country? I highly encourage you to think about how these architectural concepts might apply to your own local political realities. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the big questions and never stop examining how your world is built.